in yet, so we'll wait a few more minutes. April, did you have any discussions with any of our new members who wouldn't be joining us today?
There was
Introduce yourself. Just take 1 or 2 minutes and we'll get to know you virtually until we can meet in person. We'll start with Jacqueline.
You want to give us an opportunity to introduce ourselves?
Right.
Okay, my name is Jacqueline Bedadapour. I am representing the citizens of Cobb County District 2. And this is my first meeting of the Citizens SPLOST Oversight Committee. So I'm looking forward to learning more about the projects that are underway and serving as a point of information for my neighbors and fellow citizens in District 2.
All right, great. Has Willmark joined us yet? All right. Felicia, would you like to go next?
Yes, I'm Felicia McDade. I'm also representing District 2, and I'm excited to be here and looking forward to working for the constituents on behalf of Cobb County.
All right. Tania, are you? I believe I saw you here. Would you like to go
Yes,
next?
and it's pronounced Tanya. And good
Okay.
afternoon, everyone. My name is Tanya Robinson. I live in Mableton, Georgia. I'm representing District 4, and I'm very happy to be here and serve my community. I have lived here for over 20 years, and I look forward to meeting everybody and working with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Has William joined us? Okay. Are there any new members that I have missed that need to introduce yourselves? All right. Well, welcome. We look forward to working with you. And this is being recorded on YouTube, just so you know. And we welcome input from our citizen members. And we will now move on to our minutes from January 21st. Has everybody had an opportunity to review them? Or I know there was one change regarding Jay Cunningham being present. Were there any other changes? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Jay makes a motion, we approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second, Gene.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay. Are there any opposed? All right, the motion passes. Next, we will hear from the Finance Department, and we have a little extra to celebrate, and Bill Volkman will explain that.
Hey, Bill, your microphone is still muted.
Thank you, Priscilla. What I'd like to do is have Priscilla go over the financial report, and then we'll talk about the revenue over projection, kind of the summary of that real quick. And I know you may have specific project questions that the departments can probably answer much more than finance can. We'll give you a little bit of an overview. So with that, I'll turn it over to Priscilla.
Good afternoon, everybody. Our SPLOST collections to date are approximately $772 million, and that exceeded our projected receipts by approximately $137 million, or 22%. And our expenditures to date are approximately $723 million.
Thank you. Are there any questions from Priscilla?
Okay, so one of the things we want to talk about real quickly, and hopefully everybody received the revenue over projection project detail list, which the board approved earlier this month. That's approving approximately $114 million of SPLOST collections to be appropriated to existing pre-approved SPLOST projects, and also allow the SPLOST fund to repay the county's general fund and fire fund for monies that they advance for SPLOST projects. So those will be repaid, and again, there's a complete project list that departments can answer questions about more specifically, much better than I can. But one of the things we wanted to call to your attention is we did $114 million, which is the county's share. The cities are going to be receiving their percentage of collection just like they would, regardless if we collected more or less. They receive it every month upon distribution, or upon our receipt, we distribute their share. But one of the things we wanted to let you know is that we took a very conservative approach, so I wouldn't be surprised come next February that you're going to see another one of these come forward. So when we came up with the projection, we used $12.5 million on the average monthly collection. And if you've seen the monthly collections to date, they far exceeded that. But we wanted to take a very conservative approach as we moved forward. So that's how we came up to the calculations that we did to date, is 12.5 million per month. And just to give you a kind of a quick look, you know, the last couple months that we've had SPLOST collections, I mean, we had a 16.7 month, a 14.3 month, and then a 13.3. So those are all far north of what we did for a very conservative projection moving forward. So again, at the end of this SPLOST, we anticipate some additional funding coming forward for pre-approved existing projects. With that being said, we didn't want to overcommit to projects and then have some, you know, the economy slow down a little bit and then have to come back and make some additional cuts. So we took a very small conservative number as we move forward. So that's kind of just an overview of the report that you'll get or should have received already. But specific project questions, definitely want to have the departments answer those because they're the experts there. So can I answer any questions about the high-level report, at least initially?
I did want to check and be sure that our members received the spreadsheet that he's referring to. Did everybody get that?
I don't think I did.
Marlene, you did or didn't?
I don't think I did, but I may have missed it. I've had a lot going on.
Okay. All right.
Hey,
Well, it's
Alice,
very
this is Lindsay. I did receive it.
okay. Super. It is very detailed and gives some great information about what projects they're going to be able to do with this extra revenues. So I hope you will take a minute and look that over. Anything further you want to share, Bill?
Just the last thing I want to add is this is something that's going to be coming up in the near future. We're looking at closing out the existing 05 cost. So we're working with the county's DOT department and the county attorney's office to close that out because we're getting very close. But I just want to throw that out there on your radar that we are trying to move forward and get that all taken care of and squared up.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much. If
Thank you.
there's no further questions, we'll move on to our next item. And that's City of Kennesaw.
All right, my name is Marty Hughes. I'll wait till our slides come up.
Marty, can you see your slides? I have it up.
You have it up? No, I don't see anything.
Okay, 1 second.
All right, there we go. All right, next slide, please. So here's our agenda for this afternoon. Talk about transportation. We do have one project out there from 2005 that we're rapidly coming to a closure on, and we'll discuss some other ones regarding parks, recreation, and some cultural affairs projects. I think I'll be very pleased with our report for this year. Next slide, please. First, we'll discuss, as I mentioned in our agenda, our transportation projects. Next slide. So the one I was talking about from 2005 is our old Highway 41. We are at 82% obligation. I think the good news I really want to put here is that it will be complete in a couple of months, in May of 2021. Have had some challenges, as you can see right there. Obviously, weather is always interesting. It just took a while to work with some utility companies to get some line movements. Obviously, COVID greatly hampered that project, as I'm sure a lot of people have seen amongst their own businesses and jobs. But one thing that's interesting I want to point out there is that we did find an abandoned bridge and some roads that affected progress. Something you're always going to get as you continue growing and changing that you'll find in a transportation project such as this. But again, I want to tout the pending upcoming completion date of May 2021. Next slide, please. So Cherokee Street, we're working diligently. We're at almost 30% obligated for the funds there. The big challenge that we're finding is property acquisition is not going as easy, nor does it really ever go easy, but there are some delays there. We are working with one developer who bought a significant amount of property in that area, so we are trying to be mindful of his progress as well, but then that just led to some significant delays, and that slowed the progress for several years. We are projecting a lot of the acquisition and right-of-way coming to a closure later this summer and fall. But one good thing too, as I'll mention later on, is that we're going to link this project with the Ben King Road SPLOST project as well. And that way we can get good value for our dollars by combining two projects together. Next slide. Resurfacing and sidewalk part of our SPLOST. Again, we're using this in particular to offset other projects that we have going on, specifically in the neighborhoods, as we try to do a lot of repair work for the roads and for the sidewalks. And then also just trying to continue combining our dollars to get the best value that we can as we see prices continue to go on the rise. Next slide. Sardis Street Extension, we did move some monies around per mayor and council's approval here, but at the end of the day, we definitely are going to be coming back to this project. It's a part of our overall Sardis Street and downtown area. If you want to look there to the right, it might be a little hard to see in that picture where it says the Frozen Cow Creamery. Just to the right really is where Sardis Street Extension will come up. It will move north, right, then come up behind our Southern Museum, which is there almost in the center of that picture, and then connect to Main Street. So then that will then allow us to really redirect traffic going through our downtown and create a more walkability for our Depot Park and our museum. Next slide. That project will then link up with the Sardis Street overpass, and this is basically where we're going to manage the traffic as we have to deal with the railroad. And we do have significant issues with the railroad stopping right in the center of town, which is affecting travel going on to Cherokee Street from Main Street. This will also allow us to do some realignments, which I think will be necessary again for that overall walkability for what we're envisioning for downtown Kennesaw. The one challenge, of course, that everybody can understand is that we're going to have to start working with the railroad, and we're about to open up those lines of communication because that is a very lengthy and comprehensive process. We are making some headways with some conceptual plans, but again, all this will be slowed down considerably as we get into the federal and state coordination. Next slide. As I mentioned before, here we have the Ben King Road project, 22% obligated as we continue working right-of-way acquisitions and working with the utility companies. As I mentioned before, we do see a lot of the acquisitions and right-of-way process come through the summer and fall and see real completion there because, again, as I mentioned, we want to link that with the Cherokee Street project. Next slide. The auxiliary lane, the stormwater infrastructure there. Again, this is stuff that we're continuing to add funds to for our recreation center. That's going up, and I'll talk more about that later. And the old Highway 41 as we continue to do some more stormwater, that curb and gutter. It's allowing us to really address some of those issues that we're dealing with progress. And as we look to expand those projects, we're allowed to kind of work through that process of really coming through the stormwater aspect and addressing both projects at the same time with existing projects. Next slide, please. The Cherokee Street auxiliary lane there, that's a joint project that, again, Cobb County can give you more details, but again, significant progress there. We're seeing a completion date of 2021. I tell you this, just to know that's something that we're working closely with Cobb County on, and again, that's a joint project that they manage. Next slide. Here's another joint project, the McCullum Ben King Roundabout. Actually, that is going wonderful, and we actually expect early completion from the November 2021 date. And then the last joint project is the MacDobbs. That was on hold due to the higher costs of other joint projects, so money was being moved around. And I'm pleased to say that the Cobb County Commissioners gave an additional $1 million so the MacDobbs project can move forward. Again, that's the third of the 3 joint projects that we have with Cobb County. Next slide. For our Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs SPLOST projects, next slide, please. Talk a little bit about Depot Park. This has been a very significant improvement here. Actually, I'm pleased to say, as of yesterday, we are 100% obligated of those funds. This is a 12-phase project that, again, as I talked about earlier, will allow us to have that walkability in downtown Kennesaw, linking with walking trails, our amphitheater, and significantly increasing our parking all around the downtown area. We have linked this project with the Smith-Gilbert Gardens Phase 1 under one contract, which once again allowed us to save taxpayer dollars. Next slide. This is actually something I wanted to share with the committee. This is actually the 12 phases on your left, and then the picture on your right is actually the conceptual design of our amphitheater. So again, making some significant progress for our downtown using taxpayer dollars, which is wonderful. Getting a lot of great feedback for our Depot Park as people seeing that really evolving over the last several months. Next slide, please. For our parks, park improvement in particular, continuing to do more upgrades at our Swift Cantrell Park. As you see there on the picture on your right, that was our inclusive playground that we were able to unveil last year. Tremendous experience seeing children of all capabilities playing at Swift Cantrell. We're actually now working into upgrading our dog park, trying to make it a little bit more level, getting rid of some of those areas that, with all the rain that we get, prevent that area from just becoming more of a mud pit than anything else. Also improving our pocket parks. That has been a multi-year process as we go through all of our different neighborhoods and improving the swings and the slides and everything that comes in our pocket parks. We're about 82% obligated in that budget, but we do have some things that will probably quickly expedite those expenditures over the next several months. Next slide. For our recreation center, that is the conceptual design at that top picture. The two on the right, two at the bottom, the one on the left in particular, that is actually phase 1. Gay Construction is the construction manager at risk. They are 32% obligated for the budget, but they are doing a wonderful job. The picture that you see on the bottom right, that is actually looking behind the building at phase 2. Because of the passage of the 2022 SPLOST, we went ahead and moved forward with mayor and council approval to move some dollars around. By combining phase 1 and phase 2 for the recreation center, we're actually able to save almost $500,000 for the overall project. And another great win for our community. Next slide. For the Smith-Gilbert Gardens for 2011, I'm also pleased to say that we are 100% obligated for that budget line item. The conceptual drawing is on the top picture. The picture below that, that's actually the continuation of the phase 1, almost completion of that project. Again, we combined this project with our Depot Park phase 6 and 7 with Leone. That project should be complete May, June of this year as well. Phase 2, I do want to note to the committee, since there are several new members, phase 2 is a public-private partnership that will involve a multi-purpose education and Visitor Center facility. And next slide. So the last couple of slides, next slide please, we'll talk about our infrastructure and our facilities. We are 91% obligated in this line item. We're actually looking at doing some final repair work for City Hall, specifically in the front entrance area. We've already done some roof repair, some energy work within City Hall, as well as upgraded our security throughout the city. So again, we're going to see quick progress now that we're kind of starting into the spring time to do some of that work on the front of City Hall. And next slide. And then the last part is our property acquisition economic development. We're at 45% obligated. Actually, those dollars are going to be working in conjunction with Depot Park and Smith Gilbert Gardens. But we've used those other dollars as well for road widening and other really just general economic development opportunities. So again, great progress in how the staff is using these dollars wisely and using it to the most impact for our community. And last slide. I'd be glad to take any questions.
Hey, Marty, this is Jay. Hey, the Sardis Road or Sardis Street thing, as far as the railroad's involvement, the timelines were super vague there. Are you able to add something like 3 to 5 years or 1 to 3 years or something like that?
We will, once we get more information from CSX Railroad in particular, we'll definitely notify the committee and get that word out as we make progress. I was going to throw something out there, but I just didn't want to just arbitrarily throw a number because sometimes working with a railroad, it can be quite a challenge.
Yeah. So it's all sort of up to the communication and the quickness that they choose to respond to stuff, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right.
Any further questions for Kennesaw? Okay. Hearing
Excellent.
and seeing none, we will move on to Powder Springs. Thank you, Marty.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pam Connor. I'm the city. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. My name is Pam Connor, city manager with the city of Powder Springs, and Chad Kastner with Croy Engineering, who's our SPLOST program manager, is here this afternoon to go through this report with you. In general, we are approximately 3/4 of the way through our SPLOST program. Consists primarily of transportation and recreation improvements. We've been able to leverage some of those with other funding sources to a small degree, and whether it's CDBG or land water conservation or some grant funds with an ADA project. But we are very proud of the work that we've been able to complete. I'm going to turn this over to Chad to do the presentation since he produced this report for you, and I'd like him to walk you through it.
Hey everyone, I'm going to run you through this. So this is the 2016 SPLOST program update. Next slide, please. This is our list of Tier 1 projects as approved by the voters. This is just our standard Tier 1 project list, includes projects like our resurfacing, our public safety, parks and recreation, our public facility improvement, several street projects, and all of our named Tier 1s. Next slide, please. We have done a pretty good bit of public safety work on this. We've done a radio lease with Cobb County. We've done a major software, OSSI, that several departments use that we're using. And we purchased, I believe, 4 police vehicles out of this. Next slide. Linear park improvements, that's one of our biggest facilities in the city. It encompasses, I believe, right 40 acres, and we've broken up into several phases, but you see some pictures there. That's our one of our playgrounds with some shade structures over it. On the top and the bottom is the Silver Comet Trail that ties to our park. Next slide. Hopkins Road and Lancer Drive parks. These parks are little pocket parks that were created by the flood of 2009. There were some homes on these properties, and FEMA bought out the property and we demolished the houses, and we're able to put in these pocket facilities with disc golf, volleyball, just some picnic areas, and it's had some great response in the community. Next slide, please. There we go. Facility improvements. We've done several great upgrades. We've done HVAC upgrades, security upgrades, HVAC, access control, fire alarm, just some great projects around the city. Next slide, please. General streets. We used a lot of this to do some of the parking lot projects around the city. With our new downtown amenities, we needed some additional parking. We were starting to really have parking issues. So we're able to do 3 parking lots on here and change part of the square to the way the parking was configured. And that project was $641,000, and we are almost ready to close it out. The next one is Pineview Trail. This is a project we've been working very closely with Mayor and Council on, and this will actually tie a trailhead on Pineview and then give an access route the whole way right to the downtown amenities. So help bring people off the Silver Comet and let them enjoy all the beautiful things that we have in downtown Powder Springs. The next is Flint Hill Road project. This is a joint project between the city and county. We are probably about 60 to 90 days out from being able to close out this project. And this has been just over $3 million. And this has been about 1.5 years worth of work that we are completing now. Our resurfacing program, we do between $750,000 and $1 million a year in resurfacing. These are some of the roads we've completed. And then we have our proposed resurfacing project list, which the resurfacing is currently out to bid for this year. And we're hoping to award that next month and start paving into May, beginning of June. Next is Broad Street. This was an area in our downtown historical area that needed some attention, and we went in there, put sidewalks, redid the entire road, took it all the way down to the dirt and came back up, got more parking spaces in there, made it ADA accessible, and really opened that up for the businesses. And that project is in punch list right now, so we'll probably have it closed out in the next 30 to 60 days. And that price tag was $267,000. Next, this is the intersection improvement project at Florence Road. This project is currently at GDOT getting an encroachment permit. As soon as we get it, it'll be out to bid. This is realigning the road, trying to take some of those areas that have been done during all the development phases and making it more uniform and making it more drivable. And it's also extending the turning lane off of Florence Road onto 278 to allow for more capacity. This is a project that we're currently working with Cobb County. It's a city project, but Cobb County has been working very hard with us on this to come up with some solutions. We have a intersection that has a lot of safety issues with it. We've had some pretty bad wrecks there at Powder Springs Road, Sellers Parkway, and Forest Hill Road. And the current option that we're working on is to tie to 2 developments down the road and put an interparcel access road and allow a light there to try to have more people use that and get them off of making that dangerous turn right at the intersection. New Macklin Road at Macedonia Road. This is another intersection improvement. This is just changing some lighting, redoing some of the turning lanes, and remarking the intersection. This is also a named Tier 1 project. Sailors Parkway at C.H. James. This project is currently under construction. We are removing the median in the bridge and down the road, and we're extending the turn lane probably about double the length to allow for more capacity in that. We're doing some remarking, signage, and that current construction cost is $240,000. And that should be closed out in about the next 90 days. Next, we have Dallas Powder Springs Road at Florence Road. This is actually going to run into the 2022 program. We're looking at doing the roundabout right there to help eliminate some of that traffic and kind of safe that intersection up. So that'll be a bridge project that will go between the 2016 and the 2022. We've done some preliminary design on that, but it'll be a little while before we get started on it fully. The Brownsville Road improvements. This is from Hiram Lithia Springs Road to 278, and this is taken where all the developments have happened through the years and realigning the road to make everything flow correctly, allow for the correct turning lanes, and just make that area more of a corridor into the city, put sidewalks on it, drainage, and really beautify it. This project is currently in design and should be going to GDOT in the next 30 to 60 days for encroachment permit. This is our Marietta Streetscapes project. I'll get it out eventually. This project is a named Tier 1 project, and the limits are New Macklin Road from Richard D. Sailors to Marietta Street, and then Powder Springs Road from Marietta Street to Powder Springs Road. That is scheduled to do the work by 2022. Next, you will see our financials for this. We've done pretty well on this. We have currently spent our total expenses to date has been $10,298,613.62. And our total budget is $15,810,837.89. And then you'll see our schedule for finishing up the rest of our Tier 1 projects and when we plan on tackling them. With that, is there any questions?
Any questions from anyone regarding Powder Springs?
Hey, good afternoon. This is Lindsay Edwards. Thanks for that. I saw Troy listed on the presentation. What level was their involvement in the various projects?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your question. You broke up.
Sure. On the presentation, I believe Croy, I saw their logo on the presentation. I just want to get a sense for what level of participation in the various projects.
Of Croy's of whose whose involvement? I'm still unable.
So specifically, what level was Croy participating in the various projects we just discussed?
Okay, I'm sorry, I could not hear because it was breaking up. Well, they're our SPLOST program manager, and so they've managed the project, the program from the beginning. A couple of the projects, they also did some of the design work and engineering because they also serve as the city's engineer. We don't have an engineer on staff. And then, of course, they'll do the construction oversight once a project gets underway. So they're pretty directly and heavily involved.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything further for Powder Springs? All right, I don't hear or see anyone. So thank you, Pam and Chad. And we will, sorry, was there some question? Okay, we'll move on now to facilities.
Okay, well, good afternoon. For the new members, I'm Scott Barfield with Property Management. Today I'm on site at our new fleet car shop. If you can tell that in the back, if not, there is a lot of stuff. So, but again, I'm at the new fleet car shop. You give me the next slide. So I do have a short list because we've got a lot of work done. So there's not many projects to talk about. But if you go to the next slide, the new police headquarters. If you're aware of it, it's the old Lockheed Credit Union over across from the Civic Center. But we're in the process of remodeling several floors. The remodel for that should be done sometime, let's say, the middle of June. Out behind the police headquarters, we're going to have a new vehicle evidence storage facility. And of course, that will be a new construction. And of course, that will go a little bit longer than the building itself. Then Fire Station 7, I'll let Randy talk more about that as far as with the fire department. But again, that one should be done this fall. Next slide. Next slide, if you could. Public services, Schweitzer Library. Ooh, this has been a big job. We renovated the whole facility. Now the library system has moved back in, and we are coming we're very close to finishing this. We ran into an issue with the roof, with several leaks, and we're having to get that repaired or replaced. But that one should be done here in the next 2 months. Other facilities, of course, at Fleet Services. I'm out at Fleet now. This is a wonderful new building. What they're in now is way over 25 years old. We've got 12 stations out here. It's going to be set up where some vehicles you can pull in, leave your car set down like you would if you went in to get your oil change. And other repairs, of course, will be a little more, take a little more time. Let's see. The data center, I'll let Kimberly talk a little bit about that, but we are about halfway through with the construction on that. But Kimberly, again, will talk a little bit more about that with her when she goes over hers. Next slide. Oh, so with that, we'll just look at some of the pictures we have. That was all the projects we have going right now. We've got Station 7. That's over on Hurt Road. That's going to be a 2-story facility. Next slide. This is the bay of Station 7. Station 7 is going to be sort of an interesting one. It's got a 2-story, but it will have a slide. The bunk room will be on the 2nd floor, and when the guys get up to take care of a call, they'll slide down an actual slide to get down to the vehicles. Next one. Police headquarters. This is going to be the front lobby. If you've ever been over to Lockheed Credit Union, this front lobby is totally changed, which again will house the people we still have working at the old police headquarters. Next slide. Of course, this is more of the renovation at police headquarters. Next slide. Schweitzer, the inside, again, this was renovated from one end to the other, and the colors are, every color of the rainbow is in this thing. But it's a very nice facility. Next slide. This is us, Schweitzer as well. Next slide. And again, you can see some of the colors going down to the youth area, the children's area. Next slide. And this is now the front of Schweitzer. I felt like, wasn't as nice, but we had definitely renovated the front plaza, which it looks a whole lot better now. Next slide. And of course, this is just an aerial of Fleet. And next slide. And then again, this is the Fleet inside the car shop. Guys are very excited. This building will be a conditioned space, something they've never had before. Next slide. This is some pictures of the data center. This is just the electrical room. It's not a very large facility, so there's not the pictures right now, there's not much to see, but this is the new electrical room for the data center. Next slide. This will be the white room. This room will actually house all the computers for the data center for the county. Everything will run through this room right here. That's that room. It seems small to be able to manage that much data. But then out back, of course, will be all the HVAC equipment to keep the equipment cool. And the next slide. That's it. If you have any questions.
All right. Any questions regarding facilities?
And any of these projects you would like to go on the site and look at, please give me a call, email me, and we'll set up a time to get you in the facility.
All right. Thank you so much. So if there's no questions for facilities, we will move on to public safety and Randy Kreider. I believe you're with us.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Great.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Randy Kreider, the Director of Public Safety, and I'm going to give you an update of where we are with the projects within public safety. As you can see on this list, the number of projects that were in the SPLOST, and we've completed a large majority of them. And I'll give you an update on the ones that we have not completed yet. I think there may be more slides So the completed projects, as you can see, there's the command unit, there's an airport firefighting apparatus. You see fire station number 1, which is down on Mapleton Parkway. And you also see some animal services vans that we replaced some of them. Okay. You see the police training center on the top there. Just want you to know that we have completed the project that was included within 2016 SPLOST, and in 2022 SPLOST, there's an additional $17 million that they'll utilize to build a shooting range, firing range there. And just to give you also a heads up, we are working now to try to incorporate the Sheriff's Department training in a portion of this building as well. And so that's in the development phases right now as we speak. So we're looking forward to be able to get these men and women from both of these departments or agencies in their training somewhat together. The bottom pictures you see, the replacement of some police department vehicles. Next. So just a recap of the things that have been completed. There's a list of them. I won't look through all of those, but that's for all of public safety. Some of the current projects going on, Scott's already touched on fire station number 7. That's at the corner of Hicks and Hurt Road. And just to give a little more detail about this fire station is going to be very unique. And first of all, that it's a 2-story building. And second of all, that there's going to be several training props within this building. There'll be a high-rise training prop, a standpipe training prop. If you ever go into a high-rise building and you see those connections within the stairwell, those are what they call standpipe. That's how you get, you pump into those and then you connect to those individual standpipes on each floor so that you have hose lines on each floor. And then also there'll be some opportunities for our rope rescue, our rescue teams to train. So this is a very unique fire station. This will actually be our largest fire station when it comes to number of bays. This will be a 4-bay station. And this is very exciting. And then the bottom one, you see there, fire station number 29. Right now we call this the Unicorn Fire Station. This has been on our in our SPLOST for quite a time now, and hopefully we are getting closer and closer to purchasing a piece of property there at the Cumberland Mall location. We right now have signed a letter of intent with a property owner there. We're actually going to be doing a site visit there very soon with the county manager to give her an idea of what it's going to look like. But this is really unique in that area. You can see the fire station 29, the number there, it kind of looks like the Jersey number of John Smoltz. Just so happens to be fire station 29. That was his number. And I think we already have a commitment that he may be on site at the opening of this fire station, which is kind of cool. But this is a fire station that is greatly needed because of the amount of activity that we have down in this area of the county. And for those of you who have been on the SPLOST Oversight Committee for several years now, you will know that no, the Braves did not require us to build another fire station. In fact, we have a fire station 28, we skipped 29, and we have a 30 because back in 2006, we were looking for property to build fire station 29. It got held up because the plans that we were going to utilize to build a fire station was actually going to be in the parking deck of a high-rise residential facility. Well, when the economy dropped, so there went the high-rise building that we were going to be in. And so Station 30, which was also in the planning process at the time, went ahead and was built. So that left us a vacant 29. And so that just lets you know that this project has been in the progress for now somewhere around 13, 14 years. But hopefully we are getting very close. Next slide, please. Also, Scott talked about police headquarters renovation. I won't talk about that any further. That's ongoing, and also there's some additional funds coming in the 2022 SPLOST. I think there's another $1 million that they're going to utilize to do some additional renovation. And then Precinct 6, we're in the design phase, and Precinct 6 will be out near the Aquatic Center there at Gordy Parkway and Sandy Plains Road. And like I say, it's in the design phase as we speak. Next. And that's all of it. Anybody have any questions for public safety? Thank you.
Yes, I do, Randy.
Okay, hey there.
When is there going to be a fire training?
Did you ask was there going to be
a fire training center, or are we just using the fire station?
No, we have a fire training center now. Yes, we have a fire training center right now as we speak down on Valor Drive, and it's where police and fire once trained together, and that's going to be renovated to accommodate only fire. They are right now in the design phase of renovating the top building on top of the hill, and then the 2022 SPLOST has another $17 million that fire will use to complete that renovation on Valor Drive.
Hey, Randy, this is Jay.
To know.
Go ahead, Jay.
Early on in the presentation, you said something about, I think it was the radios or the software for the radios, and it seemed like that was a high number and not very much of it used. Do you recall?
Say that again, Jay.
The radios or the radio software or something like that was if I remember right, a $13 million item, and we've only used like $4 million. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it seemed like the only one that had that big of a spread. How are we doing there?
We're doing okay. There is some additional money in the 2022 SPLOST to update all the radios countywide, and that includes also some of the cities.
Yeah.
But we're going to hold off on replacing some of those because the ones that we have not actually reached their end of their useful life. And so hopefully we're going to be able to save some money there.
Yeah, it looks like it. That'd be good.
Yep.
I had a question. The facilities mentioned the fire station number 7 as well as public safety. Are you all sharing funds for that, or is that because that's a new construction, so it falls under facilities and public safety? How does that work? Do you get double money, or are you sharing the funds from that are allocated? How does that work?
We just track the project. Property management is the people that actually build the building and spend the money. So it's kind of a joint project, but the funding is under public safety, but property management oversees all the work.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Anything further for Randy? No more questions? Thank you, Randy.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have a special presenter that wasn't on the agenda, but I reached out to our new sheriff, Craig Owens, to have him present to our committee, and we want to welcome him and congratulate him and look forward to hearing what he has to say. Sheriff?
Let me start this. Hey, this is Mike Register. I'm the sheriff's chief of staff, and unfortunately, the sheriff was called away a few minutes ago to deal with a situation. So you have me, but we do have a presentation. I'm going to try to share the presentation with the group. Let me know when you can see it.
Yep, got it.
Okay, great. And to work this, I think I got it. Okay. Everybody see that? The first slide overview, SPLOST project?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. As you know, Sheriff Owens New administration began January the 1st, and since that time, he has worked diligently to do a full assessment of not only how the Cobb County Sheriff's Office operates, but also do a full assessment of everything involving detainee operations, the infrastructure that comes under the purview of the Sheriff's Office, court security, and that is still in progress. But currently, Sheriff Owens, as we have gathered that information, he has set 3 distinct priorities. The first is to address the critical safety concerns of the community, but specifically ensure the health and safety of detainees and deputies. And that's very important. We deal with a wide variety of individuals that are in the custody of the Cobb County Sheriff's Office. And not only do we set a priority ensuring that we maintain control of those individuals, but it's the highest priority that not only do we maintain control of the individuals, but we ensure their safety while they are in our custody. And also we have deputies that work in detainee operations. And of course, the ratio is horrendous when you look at a single deputy compared to the number of inmates in our facility. Even though that's decreased because of some COVID-19 concerns and some operational guidance that the sheriff has inserted, there is still the ratio to detainees to each deputy down there makes it a necessity for us to also do everything in our power to ensure the safety of the deputies and the detainee officers that work there within detainee operations. Assessments of the state of good repair, when you look at the whole infrastructure of the jail, you look at the infrastructure of the other buildings and in other areas that come under the domain of the Sheriff's Office, we find that the infrastructure, there's a lot of repair that is needed. And we've already assessed a lot of that, and we continue to assess all the infrastructures and areas that come under the sheriff, and improve operational efficiencies, implement necessary technology and inventory upgrades throughout the enterprise. As you well know, technology drives the world around us and our operational environment. And his intent is to do everything in his power to not only be effective in what we do as an organization, but also be efficient. And one of the key things for an organization to be efficient and adaptive is to have the necessary technology and ensure that it keeps up with the operational environment that we're responsible for and that we deal with on a daily basis. When you look at the priority projects, the detention center, you'll find that the majority of SPLOST money is dedicated to interior maintenance and exterior. When you talk about interior maintenance, you got the security retrofit of select pods that goes back to his #1 priority of keeping the detainees and deputies that work and detainee operations safe. And not only are we looking at that safety mechanism from a security standpoint, but we want to keep individuals that are in our custody. We want to make sure that we care for their welfare and keep them as comfortable as possible. So some of the improvements are to the water supply and updating the heating and air conditioning system there. Exterior maintenance, including the roof, fencing, signage, lights, very important because, you know, as a jail, not only internally but externally, we have to ensure that the area is well lit, and that is a safety concern that we address not only for the employees that work here. It also helps us to enhance the safety mechanisms and operations that we implement here, but also for the public that come upon the premise to do various business and to visit loved ones or individuals here at the jail. Transport in electric vehicles. When we look at our transport vehicles, very high mileage, Certainly, we don't want to be transporting a number of individuals in custody and have our transport vehicle break down. So we're looking at replacing them with newer transport vehicles. Not only does that give us greater confidence in the transport, but we're also looking at transport vehicles that have restraint apparatuses inside them. So in case there is an accident, that the people that are being transported are protected as much as possible, and also the aging Polaris electric vehicles that we use to do various things at the sheriff's office. We've already talked a little bit about technology upgrades and again, update and replace outdated equipment and software that helps assist the sheriff's department in being more effective, efficient, and adaptive, and also helps us interface more effectively with other county and state agencies. The automatic triple tray machines, as we look at the upkeep for the individuals in custody here, we have to feed those individuals, and that entails that we keep the kitchen areas as clean as possible. And so looking at replacing the current tray machines with a triple tray machine, automatic triple tray machine, that not only gives us the ability to clean more trays at one time, but that also is a cost savings from an energy standpoint and from a water standpoint. Miscellaneous replacements replace frequently used items such as washing machines, dryers, and chairs, and other assorted materials, like materials, because we do run a jail and we do run an organization that has to have spaces for the individuals that not only work here, but we have to maintain things like washing machines and dryers so we can ensure that the individuals in custody here have clean clothing. As we move forward over to external priority projects, just yesterday we had a big meeting with IT on upgrading the security technology that is currently used in the judicial buildings, the cameras, the card readers. We're also looking at trying to integrate what we're doing, not only upgrading the cameras and card readers, but looking at advanced technology. For instance, I know that the police department is looking at a real-time crime center, and we want to integrate with that. So with that IT integration, the use of license plate readers, LPRs around the judicial buildings and also on the property here, so we'll know when individuals come in if there's a car that has some type of law enforcement authority or law enforcement relevance tied to it. We will know that, and also we can capture the people that come in and leave in vehicles, also using facial recognition. We had one of our judges was threatened not long ago. The GBI was investigating that. We have a known person that has threatened one of the judges or anybody in the judicial process. Using facial recognition can help us more effectively protect the judges and possibly stop that person from entering a judicial building. Also, rapid identification at the entry points. For instance, if we are met with a suspicious person trying to get into one of the judicial buildings or county buildings, and the person doesn't have any identification, or there's reason to believe the person is not truthful in who they are, we'll have a rapid identification capability there at the entry points. And then we move over to the evidence room. And that goes without saying that when we process a scene, whether it be any type of biometrics that are left behind, where we're going to exploit cell phones or some other type of technology, it helps us do a much better job of investigating the crime and identifying individuals that are involved in some form or fashion with that crime, and ultimately it helps us do a better job of working with the court system to prosecute individuals. Finally, you'll see the cost breakdown, $22,235,000, and you'll see how it's broken out, the percentages that we are allocating to each portion of that. And as I've stated before, you'll see that the interior maintenance and the exterior maintenance gets the brunt of that. With that being said, I know it was short and it was quick, but does anyone have any questions that I could entertain at this time?
Hey, Mike, this is Jay. I don't really have a question if the chair would allow. I just wanted to say it's good to see you in the sheriff's colors there.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks.
Come back.
And hopefully we can bump into each other soon. But I really appreciate you saying that. It's good to see you too.
Can you tell me, please, is this budget from the general budget?
It's SPLOST.
This is the SPLOST?
It's the SPLOST, yes, ma'am. And also, we have not used any of it yet. And that goes back to the sheriff wanting to do due diligence. He got on the ground January 1st, and he wants to do due diligence and doing an assessment and make sure that he looks at everything and the priorities of what they should be.
Okay, I just wondered because I felt that it was mandated that by the state that the budget was from the general budget for the sheriff.
I can't answer that question right now. I have no knowledge of that.
That's all right. And I probably am wrong. I'm just confused. So thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Well, hey, look, I really enjoyed, doing the presentation for you today and representing Sheriff Owens. And sorry he couldn't be here. And I know he was looking forward to this meeting. But hey, he's got a job to do. And certainly, if you have any questions after that comes to mind, michael.register@cobbcounty.org. You can email me or email Sheriff Owens, and we'll answer the questions for you. Thank you, and have a great day.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate the presentation a lot and appreciate you being with us this afternoon. All right, our last presenter today, but certainly not least, is Kimberly Limley with Technology.
Hey, everyone. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm the IT director for Cobb County. So it's nice to meet you all. All right, next slide, please. All right, this is just kind of the overview of what we received in the 2016 SPLOST. Go ahead and slide. And I'm sorry, mine is not quite as exciting as others because I don't have a lot of pictures to show you. So I'm gonna have to find some cool technology pictures somehow to take and put in here. But this is what we have spent so far in our different categories. And I will just let you look at that real quick and then we can move on to the next slide. Okay. And these are our completed projects. You'll see, especially the newer members of the committee, our projects, a lot of our projects are very long-term, multi-year projects. So we haven't had any completed ones here recently to add to this slide, but we're getting close on a few. So hopefully there'll be some updates on this one for our business technology transformation project. So as we move to the next slide, you'll see we have a lot of these projects in progress. Our first one is the Unified Court Case Management System. We have actually made a lot of progress on this since the last time we met. We have completed several discovery meetings. We're actually working on our data conversion. So we have a long list of different systems that we're having to convert data from to put into this one single system. So we're kind of just taking that in pieces and converting it over. And and taking it biting it off one bite at a time. So it's a large task. So we're going to be working on that for quite a while. We're also in the middle of doing some additional discovery on our forms and reports that are needed for all the courts. And we're working with all of the offices to prioritize the customizations and integrations that we're going to build into the system. We want to really get these offices live as soon as possible. So that's why we're working with them to prioritize the customizations. So we can get them live, and then we can go back and work on the customizations once we've got a large portion of them live. So for our business license system, we have completed training on a couple of different areas. So fundamentals training, and then we're working on our. It's really a kind of a configuration training, the assess and define. It's basically working to build the system out. And then we've completed like phase 1 of the project, and phase 2 is the assess and define, where we're doing the training on that and getting the system built out. So we're very excited to get that started and have some progress on that. For our Chronos time and attendance system upgrade, we've installed 49 new time clocks, and then the additional time clocks that were requested due to COVID and social distancing, those have been complete. And then we are also having to complete a data archive and purge to meet our records retention policy. So that has been done. For our fleet and fueling system upgrade, we completed the equipment upgrades at all the fueling stations, and we are currently working on an interface with Napa. Of course, they have and I don't know how many people know this, but they have their parts shop in the fleet building. And of course, they work really closely with fleet. So this is going to be a huge efficiency for fleet to have this interface with their new system. Next slide, please. Okay, for HR finance system upgrade, we completed our project kickoff, and we have set up all of our new servers and have loaded the software on those, the new software on those, and we're working on our data conversion from the old database to the new database. For the GIS Elm trail markers and the parks people counters, we held several stakeholder meetings to discuss the design of the signs. It's very important that they're consistent, for public safety reasons. And so we worked with all the stakeholders to come to an agreement on that and place the order. We've got signs ordered for the Chattahoochee River National Reserve trails. Should be here by the spring. And then the people counters, we provided those to parks, and they're installing them. And I believe we have 3 installed right now. One at the Silver Comet, and I may say this wrong, Mayville. I don't know if it's Mayville or Mayville, but Silver Comet, Mayville Trailhead, the Silver Comet Bike Depot, and then Lost Mountain Park. So those are the places where they're currently capturing the statistics on the visitors there. Police technology enhancements. We have completed our phase 1 of the enterprise access control at the new headquarters building, the LGE building, and also the video surveillance as well. There's additional phases related to like the gates and access control on that, and we're working on that. That's kind of in the planning process. All right, next slide. Okay, for our data center, so Scott mentioned the data center and showed a couple of pictures. We're super excited about our progress here. We actually are seeing an actual space that's looking like a data center now. So we're very excited about that. Since our last update, the eco structure has been delivered. So that's what houses all the network and compute and storage for the data center, and provides UPS, power distribution, all those very technical things. We've got the, as Scott showed some of the pictures, the server room or white room is being built out. I think glass has been recently put in around the walls. So that's exciting. And then we have, we've got the, just the environmental stuff, the fire suppression system, the AC, and we've installed, or we're in the middle of installing our Comcast circuit in there. And then you'll see this on the next update, where we've finalized our vendor selections for the compute, network, and storage. So we're going to be taking that to the board, I think it's the first meeting in April, and that will be a big chunk of money that will be taken from the budget. All right, the next slide. And then for the facilities improvement, we had some facility improvements that we used for the data center. We had to install an emergency generator, so that was completed. The utility power installation was complete. And then with the All-Star, the internal, or the wiring, and then the roof renovations are complete. Okay, next slide. All right, and this is our, again, the building security, life safety upgrades. So this is mainly the access control and surveillance cameras, enterprise access control and surveillance cameras. We have completed the sentence enforcement access control and camera system since our last meeting. And then there's a couple of other ones where we have a few in progress. We're putting some additional access control at the police precincts at the gates. We're working on that. It's not quite done yet, but we're in the process. And then we're also working on some additional cameras for the Superior Court judges parking lot. There's a lack of some, there's a need for some additional coverage in there. And then we also did one thing that's not on this list, and I apologize for not being on there, but we completed a software upgrade for the tax commissioner for her surveillance cameras. They've been in quite a while, and there was a need to do some additional, add some additional storage, and so we completed that, and we had to do an upgrade along with that. So that is all I have. Does anyone have any questions? I'll try to make it more exciting with pictures next time.
It was fine, very informational. I was curious, with the pandemic and so many people working from home and have time on their hands, have you noticed an increase in folks trying to penetrate the system, your computer systems?
No, I mean, nothing more than normal. And we get, tons of I don't know if you want to call them hits, but it's constant. It really is constant. I mean, governments are targets, and we get a ton of that. But I haven't seen, and nor have our security people seen, necessarily an increase. Now, there is always, when something comes out, like a heightened sense of security, we get bulletins of all kinds of different things that are going on. We certainly, take a look and see, well, are we getting impacted? And, knock on wood, we haven't seen any more targets than normal. So
that's right. So have you completely moved off the square, your secure computer room, or you're still working on getting the other one ready?
Yeah, no, we're still working on that. We've still and it's going to take us a little while to completely move. I mean, even once it's completely built out, you know, there's a lot that goes into migrating moving the hardware and then migrating the systems over. So it's going to be a while, but I don't know, Scott, what do you think? You got any idea? You think I mean, we were hoping that we would be in it by the end of this year. Do you think that's a good chance?
There'll be no issue with getting the space ready. Again, I believe what you said is going to be the tough part is getting it migrate all of the servers over to the new space.
Our goal is to get at least some equipment there by the end of the year. We're not going to be fully moved in by the end of the year. I can tell you that, but we would like to get, you know, some of our equipment in there. So.
Okay. Any further questions for Kimberly? Don't see anybody raising their hand or hearing anybody. All right, well, thanks so much. And our next item is other business, and I wanted to see if anybody had come in late and missed the initial roll call. If you will speak up now.
Yeah, it's Susan Tucker. I was about 5 minutes late.
Okay, Susan.
Thanks.
And all right, and then Jimmy Geesey, are you still on here?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you want to mention about the event in 2 weeks?
Absolutely. Each of you should have received an email during this meeting, I believe. It came from Shelley Norton, who's the new administrative supervisor at Parks, inviting you to the ribbon cutting for Discovery Park at the Riverline. It will be held on Wednesday, March 31st at 10:30 a.m. One thing to please take note of, there's a map attached as well. There's very limited parking there at the park, so they have secured off-site parking, and they'll run their shuttles back and forth to down to the parking lot. So we'd love to have you there, or Michael would love to have you there. Michael and Tom would. It's truly the park has come a long way.
Well,
I mean, I am now disabled. Will I be able to get to it if I have difficulty walking?
Yes, ma'am. What I would suggest you do is either shoot me an email or Michael at Parks, and they will hold you a spot down at the park. Or if you have a wheelchair or anything like that, their shuttle can accommodate that as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
all right, is there anything further before we adjourn? All right, I wanted to give a shout out to April Jones for being our WebEx expert, and she does a great job for us, so thank you, April. And we will adjourn and see you in 2 months. Have a good day. Bye-bye.